For the longest time, we've thought of AI as this passive thing, right? Something that answers a question or maybe generates an image when we ask it to. Well, that's all changing, like right now. A massive shift is underway from an AI that just predicts to an AI that actually acts. So let's dive into the really exciting world of autonomous AI agents. So, what's the big deal here? What's the fundamental difference? Well, on one side, you've got the AI we're all used to. It's passive. It waits for us to ask a question, and it needs a human to direct every single step. But on the other side, you have autonomous agents. These are active. They don't just answer a question, they work to achieve a goal. And most importantly, they're self-directed, figuring out the steps all on their own. And that right there is the game changer.
So, how did these things actually work under the hood? Well, there's a really simple but kind of perfect analogy we can use to understand them. Just think of an agent as having a brain, a pair of hands, and a nervous system. Let's break them down. All right, first up, the model. This is the brain. It's the core reasoning engine, usually a large language model or foundation model, that does all the heavy lifting. This is the part that actually thinks, that processes all the information, weighs the options, and decides what to do next.
But of course, a brain's not much good if it can't interact with the world, right? And that's where tools come in. These are the hands of the agent. This is how the agent actually does stuff in the real world. It can call APIs, pull data from a database, run some code, you name it. Basically, tools turn thoughts into actions.
And finally, you've got to have something connecting the brain to the hands. That's orchestration. This is the nervous system. It's the whole system that manages everything, the constant feedback loop, the agent's memory, the grand strategy. It's like the conductor making sure the whole orchestra plays in tune.
Okay, so we've got the brain, the hands, and the nervous system. But how do they all work together to actually get a job done? It really all boils down to the simple but powerful continuous loop.
And here it is, the think, act, observe loop. This is the absolute core of how an agent solves problems. First, it thinks. It comes up with a plan. Then it acts. It uses its tools to execute that plan. And finally, it observes what happened, learns from it, and then, boom, it starts the whole cycle over again, getting smarter each time until the goal is done.
Okay, this is where it all clicks into place. Let's make this real. You ask an agent a simple question. Hey, where's my order? First, it thinks. It doesn't just search, it makes a plan. Okay, I need to find the order, get the tracking number, then check the status. Then it acts, calling an internal tool to find your order details. It observes the result. Aha, it found a tracking number. So it acts again, this time calling an external shipping API with that number. It observes again, out for delivery. And only then, after all that work, does it report back to you with a simple, synthesized answer. It's not just finding information, it's completing a task. Now, it's super important to remember that not all agents are the same. Just like pretty much any technology, there's an evolution here. They exist on this whole spectrum of capabilities, starting with a simple thinker and going all the way up to what is essentially a digital team.
And before we jump into those levels, check out this quote. It's a little technical, but it's brilliant. What it's really saying is that an agent's true superpower is managing information. It's this expert at curating its context window. It's constantly asking itself, okay, out of everything I know, what's the most important piece of information I need to think about right now to take the next step? That's the secret sauce.
So this timeline does a great job of laying out that evolution. You see, we start at level 0, the basic thinker, and we level up all the way to level 3, which is a full-on team. Let's quickly run through what each of these really means. Okay, so level 0, that's just a model in a box. It can think, but it can't do anything. Level 1, the doer. Now it has tools. It can actually answer real-time questions. Level 2 is the strategist. This is where it gets interesting. It can create and follow multi-step plans to hit complex goals. And then level 3, wow, the team. This is a whole system of specialized agents that can actually delegate tasks to each other to solve huge, complex problems. Okay, I know this all sounds pretty futuristic and amazing, right? But, and this is a big but, going from a cool demo on someone's laptop to a reliable, secure system that a business can actually depend on, that is a massive engineering challenge. Let's just quickly touch on what that looks like. All right, so the biggest hurdle, number 1, is that agents can be really unpredictable. You can't always know what they're going to do next, and to handle that, a whole new discipline is popping up called AgentOps. Then, of course, there's security. You need layers of protection, things like guardrails, and even other AIs acting as judges to keep things safe. And finally, as you start using more and more of these, you have to prevent agent sprawl, having hundreds of them running around with no central control. You need some kind of governance. Whew, okay, so we've covered a lot. How they're built, how they think, how they're evolving, and the challenges of making them work in the real world. So let's just zoom out for a second and focus on the one big idea, the main takeaway from all of this.
It's so easy to look at agents and just think, oh, okay, it's just fancy workflow automation. A better way to connect step A to step B. But if that's all you see, you're kind of missing the forest for the trees.
Because what's really happening here is that we're building new members of the team. This isn't about just automating tasks away. It's about creating a totally new kind of teammate, a partner that can think, act, and solve problems right alongside us. And that really is the thought I want to leave you with. As this tech becomes more and more real for all of us, it's a question we're all going to have to think about. So if you had your very first AI teammate, a capable, autonomous partner ready to go, what would be the first goal you'd give it?